My Steam library is bursting with bad games. It's fat with fetid, rotting garbage. And I've realized, looking through it the other day, how few of these games that I've played. I mean, how many of these games in my library did I really want? And how many of them just came in a bundle of 15 games I didn't want, but it was $5, so I couldn't miss out on it? I want to play more games, diversify my gaming portfolio with something that might bring me out of my comfort zone, my little gaming safety hole. I also want to play garbage. I just really want to play bad games. That's where the show comes in, Steam Roulette Review, a way for me to play garbage, good games, or boring slop, and a way for you to laugh at my suffering or find something that you might actually enjoy, even if I don't enjoy it. I'll be using a Steam randomizer called Wheelhouse to decide what random game I'll be reviewing, and I'll attempt to give a coherent critique or take depending on whatever it decides to throw at me. Finally, I can own my sword of video game criticism on the wet blade of mediocrity. I'll be spinning the wheel 3 times so I can cover 3 video games and give you my optimal brain-dead gamer opinion on them. I cannot skip a game. The wheel decides, and I abides. There will be some rules that we'll stick to. These games will be played for a hopeful minimum of 1 hour. I say hopeful minimum because if I'm bored before the hour mark and then the game is either not for me, bad, or boring enough for me to want to smash my head into my desk just so I can be relieved of a splintering headache, then the game simply is not going to be getting the full hour. If the game doesn't function, is offline, or if it's co-op/friends only, I'll try to find some way to play it, but if I can't, then this is the only time I will allow myself to spin the wheel. Although I will try to cover it somewhat, only total and utterly non-functional video games, depending on the game or my social life, will result in a respin of this roulette wheel. Games that are shorter than an hour are also fine and dandy, but I just think about an hour is good enough to decide whether or not I can make a recommendation, and that recommendation will be the final score for the review. I don't want to use some 1 to 10 or 1 to 100% system because I'm intimidated by numbers and math scares me. So let's see what fate decides. Let's see what the wheel wants to bestow upon me for our first pick. Enemy Mind from 2014. Okay, my experience in side-scrolling shmups makes me a schmuck, but we'll give it a shot.
Enemy Mind.
After playing about 27 minutes of Enemy Mind, I realized this game wasn't for me. It wasn't a claw hammer to the face or anything, but I just couldn't get into it. I have experience watching other shoot-em-ups, and I thought that the mechanic of switching from ship to ship like some kind of Ghost in the Machines was pretty neat. The story also seemed interesting enough for anyone with enough experience in the genre to enjoy it, but I just couldn't get super into it. And that's okay. I would still say that someone who either likes shoot-em-ups or wants to play something easier in this genre might like this. The music was also a pretty alright chiptune soundtrack, and I always felt a little bit of dopamine slip into my brain whenever the robot voice told me that I got a new multiplier or an extra life, but I never achieved complete brain death or total brain euphoria. Maybe a different shoot-em-up would be better for me, but otherwise I think I just am not that engaged, as side-scrolling games have to be the cream of the crop to really stick to me. For $10 on Steam, it's not a bad deal by any means, and the ships all have unique and interesting shooting patterns depending on which ship you possess. I would give this a light and breezy recommendation for newbies and experts in the genre, but this won't change your mind about shmups if you don't already like them, out of 10. Alright, let's see what our second video game is gonna be. Let's spin that wheel! Hatoful Boyfriend, huh? It's bird boyfriend time, I guess. I've actually already played this visual novel about dating birds before, and it's rather engaging for a visual novel about dating birds if you're into visual novels or dating birds or visual novels about dating birds. Gameplay-wise, it's just a visual novel. Sometimes you can choose to raise one of your stats during the day or during events, and depending on the club you choose, you get different interactions with different characters that let you figure out which of these birds you'd like to bring back to your cave. Also, you live in a cave. Also, you're the last human alive, and there's tons of signs here and there that point to this game taking place in a post-human apocalypse or post-human post-apocalypse. I mean, take your pick, it's either or. Some may go the completionist route with this game to get all 15 to 16 endings, but every single time I've played it, I always end up going for the pigeon who's obsessed with pudding. So I can get to the line, he puffs up his chest and swags his way out of the classroom like a real gangsta pigeon. And that's really all I need to fill my soul up with light. Released in 2014 on Steam with a free version released in 2011, I didn't think this game would age really well after 8 years, but honestly, I still found a chuckle in the bucket. Maybe even 2 chuckles in the bucket. The writing in this game trends more towards goofy or unnecessarily dark and edgy depending on the path you take. But you have your pick of the bird boy litter, and damn! You're hungry. This time around, Hatoful Boyfriend took me 37 minutes, but with my previous experience completing most of the endings on PS4, I could recommend this easily if you like visual novels, reading, or dating birds. I mean, it's not posting your favorite Danganronpa character on Tumblr.com for your friends to tell you that you have bad taste, but it's definitely something. Overall, even though I only spent a little more than half an hour playing it, it was a nice whiff of nostalgia to remind me of better times, playing this video game on my PS4 or playing the early free version on my old college gaming laptop. Hatoful Boyfriend is $10 and worth the experience of seeing back into the far-off year of 2014 and remembering everything about the year that spawned a game where you can date birds. This game gets a date birds if you want to date birds and experience a 2014 time capsule out of 10. Our third spin is upon us. Let's see what the gamer circle tells us to play. Wolfenstein Youngblood. Oh, well, I have a lot to say about this game, so I better get to saying it. I have beaten this game previously, same as Hatoful Boyfriend, but since I won't skip anything the wheel gives me if I can play it, then buckle up because I have too much to say and all the time in the world. This time around, I played it for an hour to help refresh my memory. Wolfenstein Youngblood is a game about BJ Blazkowicz's 2 daughters who kill Nazis and like to shoot gun at Nazis as you attempt to liberate more of the world from Nazi control and Scooby-Doo mystery look for your dad who's gone missing. In this co-op-driven shooter, you and a friend or an AI-controlled companion will run through the same levels over and over again, doing side missions so you can do the main missions. And if you're like me when I originally played it, then you'll also forget that it ever existed and just play it because it's a first-person shooter and you're bored. Gunplay is fine. It's fine. I mean, it's really just New Order and Shadow of the Colossus guns, but with a menu upgrade system that uses coins. Also, it's got RPG light elements even more so than the other 3 Wolfenstein games, letting you buff your weapons differently depending on what you spend your coin crypto on, from sights to stocks to magazines and more. If you select items from the same company for each of the upgrades for the same weapon, you'll also get more bonus for more gun! So instead of looking for secrets, exploring the levels, or completing specific challenges to upgrade your weapons and abilities like in previous Bethesda Wolfenstein games, you'll be running around gaining XP, dude, and coin, dude, to upgrade your anti-Nazi arsenal. It's bland. With the ability system and the upgrades related to them, you get a choice between Smash and a Cloak that I never use. You also get health upgrades, armor upgrades, pick up weapons that other characters can pick up because they're big and beefy and you're small and weak until you get enough experience to level up. And then every time you level up, you get some ability points and a 2% damage bonus because enemies also have a level for some reason that was necessary. Thank you very much, Wolfenstein Youngblood. With the Cloak, I never really cared that much. I tended to go for the Smash just so I could kind of run through the levels as fast as possible. Stealth in the Wolfenstein games, even in areas where they take your weapons away, I find more a suggestion rather than a necessity. I like to walk through waves of enemies with a pipe or a knife, just smashing away until I stop seeing red. I mean, it's a personal choice, and I like that there are gameplay options, but if you want to slow crouch your way to victory, I'm sure you'll like the cloak, and after your 500th silent takedown, switch to the fun smashy smash option instead. Or you can run through with the cloak and turn invisible and start popping heads off left and right. I mean, make the game really unfair, and I'm looking for a fun fair, not an unfair. The leveling RPG stuff is, like I said, tacked on and gimmicky. The worst part of the game, in fact, is that while the enemies have levels, it really almost barely affects the game in an interesting way when it comes to risk and reward. Sure, you can spend time trying to clear a dangerously high-level area with your pal or your robot pal, but it's not like you'll get anything other than a number going up and a smug sense of self-satisfaction as you bust a nut to your very own gamer prowess. Youngblood's revive system also makes the game a breeze to play through. This time around I played solo, but playing with a co-op partner or solo, it doesn't matter, because even if you get swarmed with enemies, your friend or AI partner can just clear them out or run over and pick you up in a second. And you also get 3 shared lives, so if both of you go down, or only one of you goes down and the other one can't get to you, you can use those 3 shared lives to get right back up without a revive. And if you run out of those, don't worry, there are boxes all over every level to refill those in a jiffy. However, if you somehow find yourself dead, if you somehow find yourselves out of shared revives, enjoy being booted back to a checkpoint from half an hour ago. So now you have to redo every little bitty of that fight that you hated all over again. For the story, I didn't really mind that it was about BJ's daughters. I've seen Steam reviews where people are just yelling about whammon and whammon power, and I don't really care about that. It doesn't matter to me that you're playing as BJ's daughters. I just miss the gravity of BJ's narration, the weight that his words carried. The monologues in the Wolfenstein games were always so cheesy, yet dark, good, and real. I love BJ's character, and BJ's daughters just don't fill those big boots. And if it had been the mix of goofy and serious that the new Colossus exhibits, then I would have been happy, I would have been pleased, I would not have minded this story. I would not have minded this story. Otherwise, I just wasn't super interested in a game set in the 80s. There, I said it, I'm sick of the 80s. I hope somebody steals your Stranger Things Funko Pops and that somebody blows up your synth. Wolfenstein Youngblood is the most okay a video game has ever okayed. If somebody wanted me to point out what aggressive mediocrity in video games was, I would point at Youngblood, if I didn't constantly forget that it exists. It's $20 on Steam right now if you want to go for it. Otherwise, this game gets a, yeah, I'd play it just so you can see what a run-of-the-mill video game is. That way, you might appreciate good games more, or just don't play it and you won't miss out on anything super important. But it is on Game Pass, so if you have that, then you can maybe play with a friend for a bit, because at least when you shoot guys, they turn into a bunch of blood out of 10. And that's what the wheel has given us today. The wheel has decided that we should play those 3 games, and I have given you my varying levels of recommendation for these games. Thank you for watching. Please check out my other videos there. Also things, if you like this video, let me know in the comments. If you had a problem with one of my video game opinions, then also let me know in the comments, because I like to get a little bit stinky sometimes. I get a little bit down in the muck. I like to jump into the comment section and kind of dive right in and see what kind of stanky things y'all are saying. But otherwise, I have a Patreon. You can subscribe. You can go to twitch.tv/Brendaniel if you'd like to see me stream video games and scream like Giant Baby. And I'm gonna go. I am going to play more Elden Ring and think about the games that I have played here. Bye!